I'm Mike O'Neill. I'm a former NASA employee, worked for NASA at the Kennedy Space Center for over 32 years. While I was at NASA, I worked in the Space Shuttle program, the International Space Station program, as well as how we were going to get humans to Mars and the Moon and the technologies we'd need to do that. But I had a really cool special assignment while I was there, and that was to look into how we might provide spiritual support for our astronauts on long-duration missions. And it was a 2-year assignment where I looked into how we could help the astronauts prepare themselves spiritually to go into space, while in space, how they might practice their faith, what they may bring, and how we could facilitate that if that was something of their choosing, as well as how the space impacted their spirituality. So I put together a 100-page report for NASA on that, and it was a really privilege to get to work that assignment. It was kind of during that time frame, though, I kind of decided to actually pursue a Master's of Art in Christian Ministry at the Harding School of Theology. I started thinking about second career options, and some of my goals were to speak in churches around our brotherhood, as well as write some books, and so I started down that path. So as I decided to work on that Master's of Art in Christian Ministry, it took me quite a long time to do it because I was still working at NASA. When you go down that path, and it's an academic path, but as you love God and you love your faith and you love Christ, and now with your academics, you're diving deeper into this. And I found it to be also extraordinarily spiritually rich for me, and it was very profound along the way, the things I was learning and how it impacted me. So that was a side of it that I wasn't expecting. But the MACM, one of the things it did for me was it prepared me to do research in the field of religion. So as I've written 4 books to date, the first one was called An Angel's View, Encountering God Through the Stories of the Heavenly Host. It actually came from my guided research that was oversaw by Mark Powell here at the school. But I turned that academic work into a popular work. And so that was a major undertaking. But after that, I then have written 3 other books called Created for Good Deeds, Holy God, Holy People, as well as one that has just come out called Good Lessons from Bad Guys. And all of those books, I came to the Harding School of Theology, talked with some of the professors about some of the things. Alan Black helped me with some of the Greek on a couple items. But I did a lot of research in the library, spent hours in here preparing myself for the book, to get the context right, to make sure I understood everything properly so I could get the technical content of the books proper and correct. So what I'm trying to communicate with all that is the school prepared me to do that. And also, it gave me the credentials to even write such a book. One of the things a lot of people will do, the first thing when they pick up my books is they'll flip it over on the back and they read, well, who is this guy, Mike O'Neill? And they see that I've gone to a seminary like this, and that makes them feel comfortable on one level at least. And also, I go around the country speaking on my books. I speak on the topic of spirituality and spaceflight, which actually is a compilation of our faith stories of our astronauts. And so, in talking about these different topics, I need to be an expert. And the school, not necessarily in the topic of spirituality and spaceflight, but in the topics of my books, the school has prepared me for that as well. It's given me the credentials for people to feel more comfortable with me, to come in their churches and talk on these topics, because they don't want somebody to come in, stir up a bunch of trouble, and leave. So this background that the schools give me to accurately depict the things and to get the spiritual results and the spiritual reflection you'd like to have occur in people's lives, has come from, again, a lot from the background here at this school. As I mentioned, my own spiritual growth was very profound during my time at the Harding School of Theology. one of the things, as an example, was when I was working on my guided research, I was looking into what the angels teach us about God. And so I was looking through the lens of not only an intellectual exercise about the angels, I was looking at what those stories specifically communicate to us about our God, about His holiness, His love, His sovereignty, and justice. And so I actually talk about each one of those sections. I talk a little bit like about the holiness of God. And I never forget being at my computer working on that guided research paper, and I had all these theology books open about God's holiness, these articles that I had from various journals, and they were spread around me, and I had the information kind of highlighted that I was trying to integrate and put together. And so you're kind of working away on that academically, and I'll never forget, and I just stopped all of a sudden, and it dawned on me, and this is something I knew, but it happened in a different way. And I started thinking about this wonderful, pure, holy God that we have, and how different He is from me, and that's a good thing, because it's a God then I can trust. It's a God that I know is above me and transcends me. And it just at that moment broke me down and started crying right at my computer. And I actually then knelt down and prayed to Him and just thanked Him for being concerned enough about me that He still desired to have a relationship with me through what He's done through Jesus Christ. And it was a very profound moment for me. It was most certainly one of those things you would call an epiphany that has changed my life and how I think about Him and how I worship Him and how I treat Him. And the network, not only of the students, but the faculty you have, a lot of these are some very spiritually deep people and have very spiritually rich lives. And they're able to impact you through just your conversations with them and talking with them. And they build you up and encourage you, and it's very formational as well. So again, I find myself here at the Harding School of Theology, and I'm in the middle of the library, and guess what? I'm working on a 5th book. Not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but I'm kind of looking at the scripture to where Jesus looks and sees something, and through His eyes, He extends compassion and views things in just ways and so forth. And our eyes always don't see that way. And so I'm trying to wrap my arms around all that, and the library is helping me do that here. Not only is there extensive resources, some of the best in the southeast of the United States, there's a wonderful staff here that helps me with things that I'm trying to figure out where to find some of it at times. So what a wonderful resource to have as an alumni to come back, through the various years yet of your life.